And before I finish my promo, I believe we're being joined by our special guest. That special guest is the man who is the BCW-WNY Heritage Wrestling Champion. His name is Rockstar Robby Vegas. Robby Vegas, you with us? Robby Vegas, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
There he is, the Rockstar Robby Vegas. Robby, thanks so much for calling in. I am currently playing Break Free by yourself to get this interview underway. Can you hear it?
I can absolutely hear it, and I'm popped for it. As soon as I answered, I heard it. I was like, that's me.
I'm not trying to shine your shoes or blow smoke up where it doesn't belong, but I was really a big fan of this song when I first heard it. We played it here on the program back when it was first released. Before we talk about WrestleSunday III, give me a little bit of the inspiration and the background behind the song Break Free.
Yeah, no problem. So the song was actually about staying true to yourself when I originally wrote it. Hence the break free is breaking out of your shell and becoming what you're truly meant to be. And the way I had originally written it, it wasn't capturing that feel. So I kind of changed the lyrics a little bit to mirror actually one of my favorite things in the world is horror movies. And if you actually listen to the lyrics, it's about a guy that's kind of transforming into a werewolf. But I still wrote it with that same enthusiasm of break free and be what you're actually supposed to be.
So that's pretty fitting because for those that have been paying attention to Buffalo Championship Wrestling, you have been one of the most fighting champions that we have seen in Buffalo Championship Wrestling. And when you talk about staying within yourself, sticking to the plan, there has been a smear campaign by Witch Doctor put out there and questioning your character, questioning your motives, and just questioning your overall being. Am I correct on those assumptions?
Absolutely. He's been doing that. He's been poking me. And I told everybody, and I told him, if you keep pushing me, you're not going to like what you find. You're not going to like what you see. I'm not saying that he's right about my character. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is when you back somebody into a corner, don't be surprised when they come out swinging.
So you beat Witch Doctor not once, but twice. Now the big situation that we have going on here at WrestleSunday III, there's going to be a triple threat match involving Dan Joseph. Somehow Witch Doctor got himself involved in this match. And then the debut of a star from the Midwest, Sam Beal. These three wrestlers are going to wrestle in a match, and the winner is going to go on to face you in the main event of WrestleSunday III for a shot at that BCW-WNY Heritage Championship. What is going to happen if by some chance Witch Doctor wins that match and we see Robby Vegas versus Witch Doctor for the third time, this time at WrestleSunday III?
Well, I say if Witch Doctor thinks that the third time is a charm for him, he's got another thing coming. I have his number. I proved that I have his number. Now, I'm not saying that I'm worried about facing the Witch Doctor, but I'm more saying that I'm tired of the Witch Doctor. I'm sick of hearing all the things that he's claiming about me and everything that he's trying to do to turn my fans against me or to turn me against my fans. I'm not really sure which one he's trying to accomplish just yet, but I've had it up to here with the guy, and I will put him down for good if he thinks he's coming at me for the third time. I will not give him more than 3.
Felix and Gary, you two have been closer to the action than most people in Buffalo Championship Wrestling. Felix, you've been roaming around the ring with the camera on your shoulder. Gary, you're the ring announcer for Buffalo Championship Wrestling. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on what we saw at the last two events, the matches between Rockstar Robby Vegas and Witch Doctor? Gary, you can go first.
Well, epic, excuse me. Witch Doctor's 0-2, and a champ is a champ for a reason, and Robby's that good. So, having a three-way match, I'm not sure if that does any help for Witch Doctor, So Dan Joseph, he's on a run, and Witch Doctor, I think Robby has your number.
I'm confused. I don't know, this is like revisionist history, but wasn't there a cane involved in the first match?
I believe it's called the staff.
The staff?
Staff.
So isn't it 1-on-1, right? This is the rubber match. Didn't you just get disqualified that first match?
I don't know.
If you want to call it that, you can. But I remember walking out of the ring with the championship over my head, and I believe I'm the one that made the second challenge and told Witch Doctor that he could come after me again if he should so choose. And he chose it, and I'm sure he regrets it now.
Yeah, Felix, I think you're right on that. I apologize for that. But, I mean, the bottom line is, once again, as Robby just mentioned, he did leave both matches still the BCW-WNY Heritage Wrestling Championship. Now, Robby, let's talk about the other two competitors in this match. First and foremost, you got a big, tough star developing that's coming out of the Midwest. His name is Sam Beal, making quite the name for himself. This is going to be the first time that the fans of Buffalo Championship Wrestling have seen Sam Beal. Now, you're going into this match with the advantage being the champion, but if Sam Beal somehow comes out of this triple threat match and gets a shot at your championship, how much do you know about Sam Beal? Are you watching tape? Have you heard anything from some of the other wrestlers that might have been in that territory? What are your thoughts going into this potential match with Sam Beal for the championship?
I actually have looked into Sam Beal, and I have watched some of his stuff because that's what a good champion does. And, I appreciate you saying I've been a fighting champion because I feel like I'm on the track right now to become the greatest heavyweight champion that BCW has ever seen. So if Sam gets into the ring with me, one, he just had a triple threat match. But is he studying me? Does he know what he's getting into? Because I've put down every former champion just about every former champion, that BCW has had, not to mention ECW original H.C. Loke. I mean, Sam should be studying me just as much as I'm studying him. So I just hope he's as prepared as I am.
And this is the WNY Heritage Wrestling Championship is the second version of the BCW Heavyweight Championship. We've seen Crimson, we've seen Big League John McChesney, we've seen the Buffalo Bad Boy Brian Jennings hold the other championship. So in my own personal, professional opinion, I got to say you're getting up near the top there. Now, I'd like to see you in a match with the Buffalo Bad Boy Brian Jennings. I would like to see you in another match with Big League John McChesney when you have more time to prepare. We know your history with Delson Alexander. We know your history with Mad Dog. But the last person I'm going to mention in this triple threat match is a man who has impressed me as the promoter of Buffalo Championship Wrestling and has really given me some second thoughts about, what we need to be doing going forward with Buffalo Championship Wrestling, a guy that moved out of the area and then came back to the area and has made a huge impact with a couple very impressive victories over established Buffalo Championship Wrestling stars, and that man is Dan Joseph. Robby, before I kick it over to you, Felix and Gary, what are your thoughts about Dan Joseph, who's come in since June and once again had a couple very impressive matches here?
I love him. I think he's one of the rising stars. Day one comes in, he's a professional. And you might not like what he says, but sometimes he just speaks that truth and he backs it up. And you can't go wrong with somebody like that. If somebody can talk it, and then they can walk it, and then they got it going on.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Dan for a long time, so it's different watching him as a ring announcer than also as a fan. And when that bell dings, he's ready. It's go time. He just had a classic with Kennedy, and that was an amazing match, and he's focused. When that bell dings, he wants gold. He wants a championship. So you can't fault him for that.
Yeah, he made his debut at Saturday Night Stack, and then he had a big victory at Chaos and Cheek to Vegas over Matt McCoy, and then he defeated Buck Wild Tommy K at the Big Fall Bash. Robby Vegas, I gotta say, I don't know. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, trying to say I don't see you coming out against Dan Joseph. But if we're looking at these three competitors, I gotta say Dan Joseph would be the odds-on favorite to win the match and then go on to face you in the main event of WrestleSunday III.
I've already thought the same thing because first of all, I respect all these guys, but I do have a lot of respect for Dan Joseph and what he does. I personally don't have any problems with the guy, but I've been keeping my eye on him since he arrived at BCW because he is undefeated. So there's a part of me that knows that he has a huge chance at being the one to come after me later in the night. And because of this, I've also been studying Dan, and I know that he came from Pro Wrestling from Hollywood. There's a lot of footage out there for me to check out, and I've definitely been checking it out. So, again, I hope he's watching me as closely as I'm watching him, but he is somebody that I've been keeping my eye on before I even knew that he was going to get a shot or a potential shot at my title.
So mentally, going into Sunday, WrestleSunday III, you mentioned on our social media channels, on our YouTube channels, that you are with your Rock Soldiers. You expect your Rock Soldiers to support you until the very end. What about people that are kind of on the fence and still 50-50 about Rockstar Robby Vegas? Once again, because of the social media campaign, because of the smear campaign, if you will, that Witch Doctor put out there. Do you have anything to say to those people? Or are you just going to let your actions show in the ring on Sunday?
I say this, for those people, whether you love me or hate me, with me or against me, I always have love for my Rock Soldiers. But for those people that are sitting on the fence because of everything that the Witch Doctor is saying, you cannot sit there and tell me that I have not been a dominant and fighting champion, and I let that speak for itself. The Witch Doctor wants to go out there and he wants to keep trying to turn the fans against me. Well, I'm going to make sure that I give those fans something to remember, whether they like it or not.